What's going on, everyone? So reports have came out that the Lakers are having this kind of growing sense that they need a all-star caliber guard if they're going to match up with these teams, particularly in the Western Conference. Because it's like every night you're going up against an all-star level guard. Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, Luka and Kyrie, right? Like it's just like SGA, right? You go down the list. It's like every night you're going up against some elite guard, and you need to be able to kind of match that. You need to be able to kind of throw that counterpunch from a guard position, right? And it's like, okay, you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis. LeBron's kind of been trying to take that back seat, but at times he looks gassed, right? He's trying to be the Magic Johnson type too much, and it's leading to a bunch of turnovers, and it's not looked the way that you would have hoped, right? I mean, the guy's 40 in year 22, but he's not looked great at times this season. He's still a top 10 player, right? Overall, he's been very good, but he's had some bad stretches. It would be nice to get somebody to kind of come take the pressure off LeBron. LeBron's going to get his 20 a night just showing up, right? Just walking on the basketball court. We've seen him, I mean, even like last night in the fourth, or 2 nights ago in the fourth, where he just like drives to the basket, 4 straight plays, gets 4 straight buckets, right? Like it's just, you don't have to worry about his point total, but it would be nice to get a guy. It's why I'm somebody that has been big on Zach Lavine, right? Because he gives you that offensive firepower, gives you that offensive burst, gives you a guy that can go toe-to-toe with these guards that you play nightly in the Western Conference. Zach Lavine last year even, he only played 25 games last year and still dropped a 50-piece. Still had a 50-piece. This is a guy that on any given night, go give you 50. Right? He does it on efficiency. He's one of the best catch and shoot 3-point shooters, right? But even if it's not Zach Lavine, there's not like a well of, guards, athletic guards, and all-star guards that can come and turn the fate for the Lakers right now, right? Like, so again, it's like, okay, who can you get? Because a Colin Sexton or something like that, a Dennis Schroeder, right? Like, that's not all-star level. Like, they're good, right? They would help. They'd be impactful. But the only all-star level guards that are available currently. Now, could that change? Sure, but you got to think. The bigger the name, the better they are, the more they're going to cost. And the Lakers don't have this well of assets that they can use to just trade and go get a Kyrie if Kyrie becomes available, right? Like, if Dallas, if any other team steps up and gives Dallas anything, right? Like, there goes Kyrie again, right? Like, so it's just, that's the problem if you're the Lakers, is like, you don't have a bunch of assets. You're limited on the type of guards. It really seems to be Zach Lavine, or it's a Trae Young, right? Which, by the way, that like went nowhere, and that was really odd because like Kendrick Perkins on like national television, right, essentially said Trae Young was going to the Lakers. In his defense, he didn't actually say Trae Young, but he went on to describe this player, and everything about that player screamed Trae Young, right? Like, it was just like, it's like, oh, he's 6'1", excellent passer, playmaker, best in the league, leads the league in assists, right? Like, man, him and Anthony Davis would be great for the future. He's young, right? Got curly hair. He's just like listing. You're just like, okay, so why don't you just say it's Trae Young, right? Like, he's like, but I can't say the name. I can't tell you who it was. And that ended up going absolutely nowhere, right? Like, it's just, to this day, we're still waiting. Like, whatever happened to Trae Young, right? Was that ever serious? Like, I don't, like, is it something where Trae wants to go to the Lakers, but the Lakers aren't interested in trading for him right now? Or is it just like Atlanta has like way too big of an asking price for him right now? Because, look, I like Trae. I like Trae a lot, and him and Anthony Davis for the future make all the sense in the world, right? A legit guard that just, I mean, imagine the pressure he would take off of Anthony Davis. I mean, right now he's averaging like 12 assists. He probably averaged 15 to 20 just playing with Anthony Davis. Like, that pick and roll would just be lethal, right? And his ability to shoot, stretch the floor, close games, do all that stuff. I love the idea of Trae with Anthony Davis. And if anybody can kind of mask, the Anthony Davis or the Trae Young deficiencies, it's Anthony Davis, right? But it's like, okay, what about him and LeBron? That's where my problem lies. You don't solve the perimeter defense and athleticism with Trae Young, right? Like, that's one thing. But you'd be like, he's such a ceiling raiser, right? Like, on paper, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Trae Young are the best trio in the league and probably enough to win you a championship just with those three if they can figure it out. But how's the LeBron and Trae? Like, because again, LeBron's talked about he wants to, be more off ball and he wants to do this, he wants to do that. It's one thing to say that, it's another thing to actually do it. Now, he has been more willing to kind of let Austin Reeves be Austin Reeves, but, it's just like, it still dominates the basket. Like, he's still on ball more than anybody, right? Like, so if you get a guy like Trae, he's best with the ball in his hands. You need to let him be the offense, be the engine. However, that's something else. Can Trae fit into this style of offense? Because Trae's used to being the offense, right? Trae's used to ball in his hands, high usage rate, boom, he's wheeling and dealing and doing everything, right? That's his game. Well, we're not running that style of offense. We're running an offense that's very motion, a lot of ball movement. You look at the game from the other night against the Spurs, right? You had 7 guys in double figures. They had 31 assists. Everybody, even Anthony Davis had 7 assists. The ball wasn't sticking. That's the way that the Lakers need to play. Lakers play like they did against the Spurs. They're winning most games, if not all of them, right? Like every time they play that way. Because everybody's moving the basketball. No one's standing still. You basically become unguardable at that point, especially with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You got guys like Dalton Connect that can light it up. Austin Reeves, when he's cooking and he's on D-Lo, all of a sudden woke up, right? Like, you look at that, it's like, man, like, can Trae play to that style? Can Trae kind of plug in and do and play to those abilities? I don't know. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, right? Like, Trae Young is a big risk, and you're probably trading everything. Now, it does set you up for the future because he's, 25? So he's young enough to where, he could be a piece now and the future. But it's just like, is Trae Young enough to put you over by himself? Because that's essentially what you're looking at. Like, technically, you could probably go make some other moves. If the Lakers would trade Austin Reeves, they could really you go get like a Dorian Finney-Smith and stuff, right? Like, man, you give me Trae Young, Dorian Finney-Smith, and like a Day'Ron Sharpe. Let's go, right? Now we're talking. But problem is that, will the Lakers give up a guy like an Austin Reeves? Probably not. Now, the fact that if these reports true that, Lakers have this growing concern that they need to compete, or they need to get an athletic, all-star guard, or just an all-star guard. I added the athletic. I prefer the athletic, but an all-star guard. Does that mean that they're kind of like, okay, Austin Reeves isn't who we were hoping he was? Maybe the Lakers are finally starting to come around to that realization, which would be nice if that's the case, right? Again, I like Austin Reeves. I'm not saying you trade Austin Reeves for a bag of chips, but he is not good enough to be untouchable, right? Like if tomorrow they called and said, hey, you give us Austin Reeves, you can have Trae Young. Here you go. You're welcome, right? Like I even trade him for Zach Lavine, but you don't need to. Like that's the only reason I don't want to trade Austin Reeves, right, for Zach Lavine is because you don't need to. Like they just want to get off of Zach Lavine. Right, but Zach Lavine's better than Austin Reeves. So, like, if it was like if Chicago wasn't desperate to move off of Lavine and it was like, hey, we're gonna make a real trade here, then I'd be like, yeah, whatever you need, like take Zach Lavine, right? Like that would, in my opinion, be ideal. But it's just you're watching this team and you need that consistency. Austin Reeves just isn't that consistent, right? When he's on, he's great. But he's not nightly, game in and game out. Even these last few games, right? He's been great half to half, right? First half, excellent. Second half, right? Like that's the difference, right? Like it's just he's the most consistent, inconsistent guy we've seen. And if you can get a guy like a Zach Lavine, bring him in, right? I know I didn't talk as much about Zach Lavine in this video because I have plenty of videos. Believe me, and there's more coming. I already have some scheduled, so look forward to that. But, it's just, like, when you look at the Zach Lavine thing, it's just, he makes a ton of sense for this team. Gives you athleticism, gives you rim pressure, helps with rebounding, helps with playmaking, defensively. He would be our best defensive guard by a mile. Every year, Zach Lavine is either right at or better than league average defensively, right? He has the athleticism. He has the versatility. He has everything you need. And then also you could still go make other moves because you save all your assets. So you can go get a Zach Lavine and like a Dorian Finney-Smith and like a Walker Kessler. Just go win an NBA championship at that point, right? Like, because now you have everything you need. The Lakers need, they're right, they need a all-star guard. They need somebody that can plug in and provide. That, or they need to just kind of like really rehaul, like I've talked about with the Nets, where you get like Dennis Schroeder, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, and Day'Ron Sharpe. You get those four guys. I think that by itself, like those four guys now solve all your needs. So now you essentially have perfect roster at that point, as close to it, right? Like you have multiple 3-and-D wings, two-way wings. You have, a 3-and-D guard. You have a backup center to add to the other things you have in a Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, right? At that point, you're money. Let's go try to win a championship here. Outside of that, I think Zach Lavine is the best answer. I do. I think Zach Lavine is the best choice. But I wouldn't hate Trae Young. I have my concerns about his fit is where I'm at. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think, like, yes, you got to go get an athletic guard, or you have to go get a all-star level guard, period, even if it is Trae? Do you think, no, stay away from them? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.